Maybe I should turn on the mic. That probably would help, right? So now that I did all that, and no, you can't lip sync, tonight we're going to talk about the U.S. military draft in 2025. Is it going to happen? Picking up steam online with all the VA YouTube channels out there, putting out some information, especially U.S. veterans and active duty military. They have them a little bit on edge about this. But is it real? Is the U.S. Military going to institute the draft? Well, the military doesn't do that. It is Congress that does that. And we're going to talk about that. Should we be losing sleep over this? I don't know, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm sorry for the first 4 minutes or 3 minutes, I forgot to turn on the microphone. So if everybody can hear me, give me a thumbs up or say I can hear you, something like that. Let me pull this down to the bottom so I can see that. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, you can hear me. James Hall says he can hear me. All right, good. All right, so let's see who's in the chat. I see Critter Creek. I see Rebecca Touched by Yarn. Maybe it's easier to go up here. Joe Fix It For You's here. James Hall, Hat Creek Homestead, favorite Marine, female Marines here. Judy Herman. The Peanut Farm's here. Hello. Yeah, when you forget to take the mute off, yeah, it kind of throws everything for a loop, right? Hey, Arlene, there you are. Lila Newton Cookies here. Let's see. Yeah, Melinda Dobson, hello. There's Neil S. Yeah, saying there's no sound. RNF Firestone Chickens is in here. Hello. Again, because I was muted, at the top I've pinned a link. If you're a veteran or active duty, National Guard or whatever, if you want to be on the panel tonight to discuss this, please click the link and come down into the studio and I'll bring you up. Tonight, Jason's sick. He won't be joining us tonight. So I got this on my own, and prayers for Jason that he gets better soon. Let's see. Neil S. I said hello to him. Hey, there's Tish. No Judgment here with Tish Ross. Hello. Canadian Family Life, Tiffany's in here. Debbie Drach. Hello, hello. All right. Let's see. Hey, Ricky Smith. Your buddy down the road is feeling under the weather. All right. Let's see. It said Critter Creek. Hey, there's Terry Treat. Hello, hello. Loud and clear. Good. Yeah. I don't know why I did that. I didn't take it off the mute. But hey. Hey, Jason Schoen. Hello. Glad you're here. Webb's Web. Hello. Scrolling. Yeah, we like to. Hey, there's Ginger Snap Not For Nothing Homesteads here. Let's see. Who haven't I said hello to? We always like to say hello to everybody. Hey, Daniel Kearney. I think I'm at the bottom. We got 29 people in here. So let's get this thing started. So, is the U.S. military draft in 2025 likely? Right now, the chances of a draft being reinstated, in my opinion, is very slim. The U.S. has relied on an all volunteer force since 1973. Remember, after Vietnam and all that stuff, they stopped the draft and they went to an all voluntary force. But what is going on in Congress is something that we should be worried about for sure. For sure, it is a lot of times the House Armed Service Committee does stuff, and in Congress or in the Senate, they do things that nobody ever hears about. Okay, unless you're a service member and the news comes out because you're actively engaged in the military and the changes affect you directly. So the House passed a automatic registration for young men for the draft. Everybody knows that we had what is that called? Selective service, where you had to go down to the post office or go online. When I did it, you had to go to the post office and register for selective services. And you couldn't get a government job or anything like that unless you were registered with selective services. And that was all men. Okay, you're over 18, you're a man now, legally. So you had to do that. But the House passed a large defense bill this year, and a lot of people didn't know that. That included a provision that would automatically enroll young men between the ages of 18 and 26 for selective service. Okay. So what that did, reading into all that, was that, hey, Lindy Oki, that when you graduated high school, your school would have to send notification that you graduated. You normally graduate at 18 anyway. And so plus you got a social security card and they can grab your information there. Your parents claimed you on their taxes, all that kind of stuff. They could get your information when you turn 18 for selective service. And you would be on a roster in case we went to, I don't know, a war with Russia, war with China, or we're fighting two wars on different fronts and they just don't have enough people. And right now, the only service that met their recruiting goals in 2023 was the Marine Corps. And they hit it like 15 above what their requirements were. The Army missed it by thousands and thousands. The Air Force didn't meet theirs by thousands. The Navy didn't meet theirs by thousands. Only the Marine Corps did, according to the case study on this that I was looking at. So that got them worried. And this has been going on where they haven't met their goals since COVID hit. Okay. People just weren't doing it. They heard all the nightmares that was going in. They heard about soldiers being kicked out of the military because they wouldn't get the jibby jab. All this stuff was going on, and recruitment did a tank dive, right? And there was people just weren't lining up at the door to go in there and get a job and start a career or anything like that. Oh, guys, Texas pecan coffee from HEB That's it right there, guys. That's my go-to coffee right now. So that's what we're going to talk about. The White House version of the National Defense Bill, the NDAA, which would authorize $895 billion in military spending, passed a vote of 217 to 199 to have or establish this automatic selective service instead of you going down there. Because I think our son, he didn't register. I don't think any of my kids registered for it. And they weren't witch hunting anybody. And I think over time, only 14 people were ever prosecuted or charges brought up for not doing selective service or something like that. I don't know how they can, figure that out. How many people didn't go down? I didn't know about it and stuff like that. But anyway, it's unlikely to be picked. It says in the article here that it's very unlikely that the Senate, because the Congress passed this, it passed, to do this. But it's unlikely that within 2024 that the Senate, because it's the Republicans initiated this, but because the Senate is controlled by the Democrats, that it probably will not be picked up. It's not something they want to get in bed with, if you will. Okay. Hey, Glenda, there's Grace and Fire. Hello. So it probably won't get picked up. Will it get picked up after the election and stuff like that? Because, half of the Senate's running for a seat again and stuff like that. Don't know. And we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes. It's unlikely that they'll do it, though. The Senate, because of the numerous amendments regarding abortion, diversity efforts, and transgender medical treatment within the military, the Democrats they're not going to be picking it up. And I'll let you can read on all that kind of stuff and what they're doing for the military and stuff like that. The selective service provision is part of an enduring bipartisanism. Man, that's hard. Bipartisanism. Bipartisanism. Okay. The selective service provision is part of an enduring bipartisanism effort to make the framework for the military conscription and to put it in place, even though the draft ended in 1975. Okay. Earlier it said 73. They started to volunteer, but because of the end of the Vietnam War, 1975 was the cutoff date where they stopped 100% with the draft. Automatic registration would be in place when you're coming of age to all 18-year-old males, U.S. citizens. Experience when they get a card in the mail from Uncle Sam informing them that they are required under threat of criminal penalties to register for the selective service. Nowadays it's not. When I came in, I heard stories about go to the service or go to jail because you broke some law or something like that. Hat Creek says, honestly, let me put that up on the. Honestly, with all the snowflake kids that can't pick a bathroom and need safe space, do you really think they'll be defending us? Well, and then there's the other side of it. Okay, if you're drafted, now let me know in the chat if a kid is drafted, is he more likely or less likely to have his heart into it if he's going to boot camp, AIT, and then he's going into combat? Or is it, if you're a volunteer? Now, I get it, that in some cases, certain people or peoples would not sign up if there was a war going on, knowing 100% that they're going to go into combat. But if you remember after 9/11, how many patriots signed up just because of that reason? Okay. I mean, hundreds and thousands of people signed up. But what happens if you're in a world war and you're running out of people quick, fast, in a hurry? Okay. What happens when you get past all the patriots, and then you draft people and they don't want to be there? You know what I mean? They don't want to be there. Definitely don't. Yeah. So, and you're talking about, age 18 to 26. That's where the draft really hits, And then, of course, there'll be loopholes for people that are in college. There'll be loopholes for people married and has family and kids and all kinds of stuff, or you're the last male and stuff like that. So then on the flip side of that, now that Congress in the House has actually passed this amendment, okay, they passed it, waiting on the Senate, and then of course the president would have to sign it, and we don't know who that president's going to be, if the Senate picks it up or whatever, we don't know, but we can hope, right? And so with that being said, there's questions in a lot of the chat rooms that I go into on VA and the military and stuff like that, that said, why is it just males? Why shouldn't it be all U.S. citizens? Okay. Why shouldn't it be male, female, whatever you identify as? Why isn't it everybody? Why should one be excluded than the other? Right now, females in the military is hot and heavy, guys. I mean, there's a lot of ladies going into the military, and they're kicking ass and taking names, and that's fine. But what if you're not that type of person? All right, how far are they going to get with you if you're not that type of person that would do something like that? You know what I mean? So that's up for debate and questions and stuff like that, because it shouldn't. I agree. It shouldn't be just males. Nobody's born a soldier. I mean, you play soldier and you do all this stuff, but the military can take people out of control, timid, passive, and turn them into a soldier. I know, I've done it. I mean, I was a drill sergeant, and I've seen all kinds of people come in the military, totally different when they left. And so people can change. You can build on skills. They can give you skills and stuff like that. So that's one of the hot topics, And of course, it's always like that. If you just isolate one, then that one goes, hey, what about them? What about those guys over there? Why aren't they coming in? Okay. So, and I'm going to tell you something. I don't think that they would ever, in my humble opinion, start a draft unless it was a World War event. Okay. Because look in your history books how many people we lost in World War II. You know what I mean? A lot of people lost their lives. and just to get to where we are today. So, what could actually lead to a draft in the future? So, we've established that the 2025 draft is probably unlikely, but never say never, right? There are a few major situations that could potentially force the government's hand to go in this direction. Okay. I'm just reading off my notes here, guys, because I can't remember everything. I'm old and crusty. Okay. Like Rusty. Let's see. What's this? Neil S. I think everyone should serve for a couple of years. I agree. Most countries have at least an 18-month or 2-year commitment into the military. Germany, the Koreans, it goes on and on and on. In the Philippines, you have to serve in the military. Well, you have to serve. I know in Korea, it's optional for females if they want to go in there, and they're still into the avenue of, clerical, lawyer side, for JAG, for medical and stuff like that. They're really hot and heavy. They're not into the combat arms part. And same thing in Germany. The males have to serve. I don't know if it's 2 years now or it's still 18 months. And a lot of people, they go in there and they serve and they get out and they just talk about it for the rest of their lives. So very few stick it out in most cases. So like I said, a large-scale conflict, as we always say, the big one, when the balloon goes up. The most obvious scenario is a massive global conflict, something on the scale we haven't seen in generations. Think a major war requiring a surge in troops deployment, and the current volunteer force just cannot handle it. Like I said earlier, once you get through the volunteers, where do you go next? You got to start taking from the communities and stuff like that. And then realistically, there were more National Guard and Reserve soldiers during the Gulf War and over in Afghanistan than active duty troops. Okay, so we really deployed a lot of citizen soldiers. That's what we call the Reserve and National Guard, citizen soldiers, to combat zones. A lot of them. I think the biggest one was like transportation and logistics. So if you choose those and you're in the National Guard, they may call you up. Military recruitment and retention issues. Right now, the military is facing some big recruitment challenges. Like we said earlier, the strong job market makes civilian jobs more appealing. Negative perception of the armed forces among young people certainly is not helping our situation at all. But I will tell you, if you're not going to college, I didn't go to college, right? Before I went into the military. Didn't have the money. Came from a poor family. Was number, 892 my graduation class of, 1,200 and something. I wasn't the smartest cookie in the jar, by no means. So I didn't have a whole lot of options. And the military wasn't even on my brain anyway. I had a job at a dairy, and then I worked on the weekends over at Church's Fried Chicken just to make money. So when I took my buddy to the recruiter and they started talking to me also, I'm going, well, I really don't have nothing, and I found my place in the world going into the military. And that wasn't even, guys, that wasn't even in my brain. But they took, a wild child and turned a soldier out of him. and I appreciate that. I would never change my life. I mean, I got a college education out of all this. I did everything. I made a career out of it, and I really had fulfillment in that. Is it for everybody? No. Will they serve their term and get out? Yes. They do it all the time. Do they come into the military just for the GI Bill so they can go to college? Yes. And as soon as they do their commitment, they are gone. No ifs, ands, or buts. But a lot of them do stay. And the benefits of staying for a whole career, you don't realize how fast the first 10 years goes. And I'm just like, oh man, I only need 10 more years and I could get a pension for the rest of my life. I could get reduced medical care. Guys, I paid $462 for a family plan on the military retirement through TRICARE every year. I pay it one time and I don't pay nothing else. Now, if I go see a civilian doctor, I've got a copay and stuff like that. Terry can be seen surgery. I think I had this shoulder done. I had my back surgery done. I had my foot surgery done. All that, I paid $25 per surgery. And that is one of the huge, if you're dealing with healthcare, you know exactly how much you're paying for healthcare for your family. I pay $462 a year. And they take a little bit out every month. I get my retirement check. They take money out till it's paid off for the year. And it hasn't gone up in I don't know how long. And then at 65, I go for TRICARE for life because I'll be at 65 and I go to another bracket within the medical insurance there. So there are big time things, going to the commissary for the rest of your life, going to the PX, using places on installations and stuff like that, going to the VA for healthcare that was where things that happened to me in the military are taken care of, and I can use my TRICARE. Like when I get tired of messing with the VA and giving them chance after chance, I go over to my TRICARE and I see a doctor for the exact same thing. Shoulder surgery. I mean, I was dicking around with them for the longest time, and I'm sorry about that, but I was. And I went over here, and I think it was like four weeks, I was under the knife, fixed, okay? And I didn't have to worry about it. But those are benefits to being in the military. This ain't a recruiting thing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of benefits if you have no prospects whatsoever. And do you learn a skill? Yes, you do. Okay, I know right now there's a big need for mercenaries. So if you went in as a infantry guy and you got a ranger tab or whatever, you have a job for life, okay, all over the world. But who can do that for their whole life? You know, I do have a friend that works for a bodyguard service and making buku dollars because of his experience and stuff like that. In fact, the Pew Research Center report showed only 23% of young people even qualified for the military service. There's only 23% of our young people that would even qualify for the military. Now, if there was a war, let's think about this, okay? Let's see, question Mike, are your children in the military? No, my children, okay, from Lindy Oki, my children grew up with the military. And neither one of them, after watching me and everything that we went through as a family, there was no way in God's green earth were they going to go in the military after watching all that stuff. Okay. But that was just my kids because they seen it. What? I didn't see that, Anna Bohr. I'm sorry. Let me go back up here. I don't see it.
It was about Church's chicken.
Oh, so so when you really think about it, I mean, number one, you got to be physically okay to go into the military. I mean, health issues and stuff like that. Um, you got to pass a physical. You got to pass a mental acuity test. Okay, the ASVAB and stuff like that. Will do people fail it? Fail it all the time, and the bar's set really low. Okay, and they still can't pass it. Okay, that just another strike against our education system. Because to me it was just easy. Because back when I went to school, they taught us stuff that you're going to actually use. Okay. The Okay, and many of those who do qualify have a negative view about the armed forces as a whole. So if you draft those people, okay, and you give them waivers and stuff like that for shortfalls in their physical or whatever, what do you have then? And then you have the other percent that I don't want nothing to do with it. Okay. Yeah, they could mess up and ruin their life, and they could go to jail if they go into the military, hit the brig, they can do something. But that's always been a stickler because we learned from Vietnam that people who didn't want to be there. Now, there's a side note to all that, and this is just my humble opinion. Let's see. Yeah, if I was healthy enough to go back in, I would have done that. And but when I got out, I could have stayed longer. Okay, but when it's time to get out. I was going through a divorce. I had children that wanted to stay here in the States, and their mom went back to Germany and stuff like that. And then I got promoted, and they wanted to send me to Korea to unaccompanied tour over there. And I had teenage boys. I couldn't leave them back. So I had to do what any responsible parent would do, is be with my kids because I couldn't leave them. They're teenagers. They were country wild kids and stuff like that. Love them to death. And I made the decision to be with my children and then give up my career. Already cleared to be retired and all that kind of stuff. I did my years and all that stuff, but that's where I needed to be. And that's the decision I made. Did I miss it when I got out? It was like my first heartache. When you have your first girlfriend or boyfriend and there's a breakup, how physically and mentally taxing that is on a young kid. That's what it felt like when I left the military. Seriously, it was. I was lost for the longest time. But anyway, that being said, the problem, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that if you're forced to do something, is your heart 100% into it? I would tell you, no, it's not. But when the bullets start flying, that's when you pop your head out of your 6 point of contact. And in the military, 6 point of contact is your butt. Okay. You pop that out and it's time to get real. And they get real quick. So I would just say that I don't think that the draft is going to actually pass through the Senate in 2024. It may in 2025. But with that being said, they're going to have an opposition that everybody 18 to 26 have to register for selective service. Everybody, lottie-dottie. All right. Everybody has to. All right. This is not just that. I mean, if you say that men are here to protect women, okay, be their protectors. On the other side, we don't need a man, okay, and it's just you can't win. So you got to really be selective, and it's like mass punishment. Punish everybody equally, not just the offender. So how do they do it without, why should men go die and women stay home and they don't have to do nothing? That's, we've opened up the combat arms roles for women now and all that kind of stuff. And women have proven themselves to handle it. Not all, okay? Just like not all men can handle everything in the military. They can't. I went to jump school. We got on the plane for the very first time, and when we hit the ground on the airstrip area, the plane landed, and I seen people getting out of the plane from my class, and they were men. There was no way in hell they were going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. They wanted to, they signed up for it, but when push came to shove, they couldn't do it. Okay. So you got to think of it that way. But in my humble opinion, I think that everybody 18 to 26 should have to sign up for selective service. That's just the way it is. Will it change you? If you say, well, I'm not that kind of a person, trust me, I've seen articles and stories and seen women do phenomenal things. You hear the story of a mom lifting a car off somebody because they were so hyped up, and you do things without thinking. All right. And anybody's capable of it if you're given the right training. So what did that say? What, y'all had a choice not to jump? Yeah, they did. They did. They wouldn't shove you out the door, but that's just some people, they can't do it. I mean, when I went, the highest place I ever been was on top of the roof of my house, so, and I really didn't mind the higher altitude jumps. They were fun once you stopped the rocking and you made sure nobody was going to fall on top of your chute and take your air. Everything was fine. It was those low altitude jumps where you're out and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, you hit the ground, because you hit the ground hard. Okay. But it is what it is. So nobody wanted to come up and talk about this, huh? Well, that's okay. I'm glad you guys are here, though. If you have any questions about this, you can always email me, and we can get you the information. If you've got kids, I would be worried as a parent that that's not what you want for them, and what they're going to make as parameters. Yeah, Don was a Marine. Yeah, Don from Hat Creek was a Marine. I think she was military intelligence or something like that. She did when I talked to her, I thought Dawn was somebody that picked out targets and stuff like that. Things like that for military intelligence. I'm not sure. I thought I heard something like that. Cuddly Tech said, I'm too old to be drafted. Well, yeah. I mean, what happens when they get done with all the 18 to 26-year-olds and they're still at war? You know, who are they going to go to next? Then it's going to go to, you know, fathers and mothers with kids, and somebody's got to stay home. One person can't get drafted. Who's going to take care of the children and stuff like that? Because when you have kids and you go in the military, you got to have a family plan, you know. And a lot of times, when I was in, if you were a single parent, they wouldn't let you in the military. And if they did let you in the military, I know one gal came in. She was an MP, and her mother was her dependent. The only way she could get in was make her mom her dependent, and she was basically granny nanny for the kids. So that was her family deployment plan. Was grandma or her mom took care of the kids, and she made her dependent, and that's how she signed up. And of course, her mom, permanent change of stations with her, all that kind of stuff. And last time I seen her, she was a first sergeant, and but she's retired now. But yeah, her mom stayed with her whole career. Yeah, because you got to have that plan. Mama Carol. Grandson, who will be 18 next year. Yeah, and every right. I wrote code for remote desk. Okay. Okay. She was smart, or she is smart. I don't want to say she was smart. My nephew interested in the movie, but my sister said she was afraid. That's called being a parent. Okay. Or being afraid or scared is all about being a parent. And I get that. But, they got to grow up sometime, you know. I was in the military with a lot of people raised by a lot of single moms. I'm a product of a single mom. My mom raised 7 kids on my dad's little bit of his Social Security that she got, and welfare. And I will tell you that my mom struggled, and that's a lot of mouths to feed, and that's a lot of work and not seeing your mom, because in order to eat, you got to work, because welfare doesn't pay all the bills, and stuff like that. So my hat's off to any single mom. I met Terry. Terry was a single mom, and she was doing her best, and she was working her butt off. And I understand that. I was a single dad for a long time, and for at least nine years, I was a single dad. And guys, it's hard. It's hard when you have a job and you're making good money, to be in so many different places, to keep your eyes on your kids. My thing is I just wait for a phone call. Hey, this is Sheriff such and such at Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. We got your son down here. I've heard that many a times. But in the military, there's a lot of dependent children that never, ever would join the military. And my kids were among them, because they seen it and they didn't want that. So anybody have any more questions? Or if you want to come up, you're more than welcome to come up. So I'm 53. If they sent me, or I would go back. Yeah. Not too smart. I have 10 kids. I live in Arkansas. Well, you could run for governor. No, you got a good governor over there. I'll tell you that much. She's no man. When she took the land back from the Chinese people that bought up land there and stuff like that, man, I said, see, and she put in their state the definition of a woman and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, she's no nonsense. She ain't playing these stupid, games and stuff like that. Let's see. Mama Carol said, I went to the Air Force like my dad. There you go. I would volunteer to go if it kept my kids from being drafted. Yeah. I remember when COVID come and everybody was complaining and stuff like that about, oh, they're going to miss their senior trip and they couldn't, play their last year of football and blah, blah, blah. And I remember, where a lot of people during Vietnam spent their senior trip. So I really didn't have a heart for all that soggy, mushy stuff that they're missing out and stuff like that because, and then World War I, World War II, where did all those kids spend their senior year? Some of them didn't even graduate. They turned 18 in high school and they were gone. They didn't even get to finish high school, but, that's just why when I read to you that only 23% of our young people even qualify for military service. So, and why is that, guys? That's because we created the kids today. Everybody wants to blame the kid. Everybody wants to blame the kid. It's our fault. I went to a course, for equal opportunity and stuff like that. And we talked about that and I brought it up and he goes, it's your fault. And he made such a good, compelling argument on it's how you raise your kids if they're ready for the world. It's, you can't protect them their whole lives, even though we really want to. Don't be the parent when they come and knock on your door and say, hey, your son was involved in a break-in at somebody's house. Oh, not my kid. My kid would never do that. When they knocked on my door, I said, okay, yeah, I can believe you, because you got to know your kids and stop babying them. Sometimes it's just time to grow up, and I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Let's see. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but that's what would scare me as a parent if we go into World War III or something like that. That would scare the holy garbage out of me. Man, everybody's see now that you told everybody what you did in the military. Don't play dumb with them now, Don, because they know you got some brains. Especially if you're military and she told you what she does, you can't just get a passing score on an ASVAB test, guys. You got to get a score like you're going to college. Yeah. A lot of kids are children of the one. Yeah. And see what happens on the front line at home and what goes on. They don't want to join as a result. That is true. That is 100% true. That is a demographic of children who would never go into the military. after seeing a parent come home wounded. I don't care what the wound is. Okay. A bullet, an explosion, something had to happen to make that happen. And Glenda, you are 100%. She's always right. She has such good insight on a lot of things. Let's see. I have 3 cousins that went into the military. 2 went on submarines and the others on aircraft carriers. There you go. See, and then when you go in the military, make sure you select a job that you believe can help you on the outside. You know, I went in to be an MP because I wanted to get out and become a police officer. Well, I stayed in, and retired. And when I retired, I didn't want nothing to do with law enforcement ever again. So I chose a different path. I still work for the government. And big news on that coming, guys, over on MT Homestead here in about a couple of weeks. I got some huge news. Okay, huge news. So get ready for that one over on MT Homestead. Yeah, and a lot of people did. They lied about their age to get in during World War II, during Vietnam, or you had to get your parents' consent to go in. I mean, I went in, I did, when you do your boot camp between your junior and your senior year, okay, on delayed, then you finish your senior year out. I was 17, and then I went back, and after I graduated high school, no. Yeah. No, wait a minute. No, I didn't. No. When did I go in? 79. 79, yeah. Whew. But they give you the option to do that. Okay. So now I don't know if you go through boot camp and after you finish boot camp and you turn around and say, I ain't going back. I don't know what that's going to cause. Okay. But a lot of people did that to do that. I get confused because I had so many kids when I was a drill sergeant. We'd have special classes for those kids that did come in between their junior and senior year because you got to handle those guys different. Okay. You really do. Especially back then. I don't know if they let them do it nowadays or not. Hey, Reverend Dream, there he is. 3 wrong on my ASVAB thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, when I went in, the ASVAB total was 130 points. That was the max you could get on the ASVAB when I went in. And I got a 128. And I don't even know how the hell I did that, guys. I was number 892 in my graduating class. But when I took the ASVAB, everything seemed simple. You know what I mean? Everything seemed simple. And I don't know if that's the quality of education because they're failing it left and right. I do remember, didn't Kevin go and take an ASVAB? Yeah, he did. And he failed it twice. Took it the third time, passed it by like 1 point. But, and but I just thought it was so easy, especially the mechanical part, and the word problems and stuff like that, and the simple math. I mean, it seems so simple to me. But then again, the guy did give me a book to take home, and I read it, and I'm going, shoot, all this stuff was in the book. So maybe I cheated. Also, when you see how many homeless vets, yeah, you're right. And my private organization that I belong to, I see a lot of them. Uh, when we used to do this thing once a year in Colorado Springs, where all the homeless people could come in, they could see a doctor, they could see a lawyer because a lot of them have legal problems. They get a haircut. They can take a shower. They can get a winter coat. They can get boots. They can get socks. They can get clothes because all these agencies would provide stuff for them. Um, they could sign up for job training, homeless shelters if there was homeless shelters available. But when we were in there in Colorado Springs, it was thousands upon thousands. Now, I'm going to tell you right away, if I was a homeless vet, I wouldn't live in Colorado, even though they do have a lot of homeless shelters. But you got to get in there early because once the beds are filled, you're sleeping out in the cold. Okay, I'd be down in Florida or someplace like that where I didn't have to deal with bone-chilling Colorado weather or New York weather and stuff like that. So anyway, hey guys, that's what I got for you tonight. I hope we still got 37 people in here. I hope you guys, it gave you some food for thought. Let's put it there. Let's see, what is this? Just know something about that. Yeah. So, that's what this is all about, giving you some food to thought, some conversation. I really, really wish some of our veterans in the chat would have came up so we could talk about this, talk about experiences. Next week is Tales from the Foxhole. So get your story together, or you and get the courage to come up and talk about your life or story about what happened to you in the military. It could be funny, it could be serious. I don't care. We'll give you about 5 minutes. You can tell your piece, yeah, it'll give you. It helps, guys, if you're a veteran and you can sit there and talk to other veterans and know you're not going to be judged and stuff like that. And again, if you're a veteran, you really don't care what other people think anyway. That's the way we're made, But we want to hear from you guys. That's why we started this channel, because we really want to hear from you. Email me if you want to be on the show. I'm looking for people that I can interview, that I can do a video on and talk about your life in the military, things you experience and stuff like that. That's what I'm really looking for. But next week, Tales from the Foxhole, that's your chance to come up here and talk about your military career. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes to tell your story. We invite you to come up here. And I'm looking for Dawn. I want a woman's perspective on her military career, and because we all see things different. We're all treated different. I know the military, they treat everybody. What was that thing? If you treat everybody like dirt, nobody feels left out. So guys, we love you. Hey, remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always, always think of that. Guys, I thank every veteran for your service. God loves a vet. That's why he made so many of them, guys. We love you. God bless you. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys. I know how to do this.